Before we can move forward with promises, specifically the fetch function, we'll need to have a local web server that we can create custom requests for. In this session, we'll create one using the Express and Webpack Dev middleware packages. We will not cover these packages in extensive detail. The main focus will be on getting the server up and running. In a future session, we'll cover using REST requests as necessary. First, run npm init. I'll call this package server, but you can call it whatever you would like. We'll reuse this code in future sessions. Next, update the package.json file to use these packages. There are two new packages here, Express and Webpack Dev middleware. I'll discuss them in a bit. I'm using specific versions to ensure that this tutorial continues to work for years to come. Express in particular is notorious for drastic changes in API across different versions. Also, it doesn't matter if they're added as dependencies or dev dependencies. This package is not going to be deployed anywhere. In fact, let's make that explicit by adding private true to package.json. Just like the original Webpack project, create an index.html and index.js file in the source folder. Now is where things diverge a bit. Create a scripts folder, but this time, create a script called run.js. And update package.json. Make sure it works. Good. Now, a bit of explanation on what packages we've downloaded earlier. Express, or Express.js, is a Node.js framework that is best known for its capabilities to write lightweight REST services, or web servers. Its powerful HTTP utilities make it ideal for this. Webpack Dev middleware is a lesser-known tool that allows building Webpack bundles entirely in memory, which speed up development. It should not be used in a production environment. I'll now write the run script. I'll explain what it's doing as I type it. Don't worry if something doesn't completely make sense. The purpose of this session is just to prepare an environment for future sessions. The source code will be available to use. The HTTP and path packages are both built-in Node libraries. HTTP will be used by Express to handle network requests, and path will be used to resolve the path to the index.html file later. Express, Webpack, and Setup Webpack middleware all reference packages we've downloaded earlier. The port variable, or constant rather, specifies what port this web server will be accessed on when it starts. I like to define this property as a constant at the top of the file, or in an external configuration file, so that it's easier to change later. Express creates the Express application, which contains functions that we'll need to use in the form of a function itself. The imported Setup Webpack middleware function takes a Webpack object and returns a middleware instance, or subprogram, that can be hooked into an Express application. The Webpack configuration itself is basically identical to the configuration used in previous sessions. The main difference is the output definition. Webpack Dev middleware expects the path to be relative to the web server, so the root path is specified here. The DevTool module file name template property is related to source maps. The app.use call tells Express to use the middleware object returned from the setup webpack middleware call, thereby exposing the bundled script file and source maps. App.get defines a getRest call. The first argument specifies a URL path. The second argument is the function to call when the browser accesses this path. The function sends the content of the index.html file with a status of 200, which means successful, back to the client. HTTP create server creates the HTTP web server. We pass in the function return from the Express function here. The listen function exposes the web server on the port specified. The second argument is a function to call once the web server is accessible. Now all that's left is to ensure that everything works. Start the web server in the console, and navigate to localhost 8080. You should see the web page load and an alert box appear. Now that we have a working web server, we can move on to learning how to write a fetch request.